Most gardeners assume November signals the end of the growing season. The tools get hung, the soil is left to rest, and we wait for spring. But that idea misses something essential. November isn't an ending, it's a quiet beginning. Beneath the surface, the earth is still working, preparing for the next burst of life. And if you know what to plant, this month can set the foundation for stronger harvests in spring and steady growth through the cold. Maverick Moss knows this from experience. He's been gardening for decades long enough to see that every season has its own kind of opportunity. For years, he says, I treated November like an off switch. I'd clean my tools, close the gate, and tell myself I'd earned the rest. But one year, I noticed something. The soil wasn't dead. It was waiting. That realization changed how I think about growing and about aging, too. This isn't a story about defying winter. It's about working with it. The goal is to adapt, not stop. To keep doing what you love in ways that respect your body, your climate, and your time. By the end of this video, you'll know 10 hardy crops that thrive when planted in November. No special setup required, and one overlooked method that makes late-season gardening easier on the hands, knees, and back. Welcome to Golden Garden Days, where the focus is simple. Practical gardening for people who've learned that patience grows more than plants. If you still find peace in tending soil, or if you just want to keep a small part of your life green and productive through winter, you're in the right place. It's cool outside, the light is softer, and the air carries that clean scent of rest. But this season doesn't have to mean stillness. There's work to do, steady, quiet, satisfying work that reminds you what growth really looks like. So, pull on your gloves, pour a warm drink, and let's step outside together. This is the month where your garden begins again quietly, purposefully, and stronger than before. Crop 1. Winter peas. Winter peas are one of those quiet miracles in the garden, often overlooked, but powerful in ways most gardeners never realize. They're more than just another cool weather crop. They're a way to keep your soil alive, nourished, and working for you through the coldest months. While most people see bare soil as resting, winter peas are busy doing the opposite. Their roots dig deep, pulling nitrogen from the air and fixing it into the soil, feeding next season's crops without you having to lift a shovel of compost. It's nature's fertilizer factory, working silently beneath the frost. For senior gardeners, this crop offers another gift: simplicity. You don't need to bend, kneel, or strain. A raised bed, waist-high planter, or even a deep container on your porch is enough. Scatter the seeds lightly over loose soil, about an inch deep, and cover them gently with your hand or a small trowel. They don't need precision. Peas are forgiving. What they ask for instead is patience and a bit of moisture. Water them once after planting. Then let the natural chill of November do its work. Winter peas thrive in cool soil, which means they're one of the few crops that don't just survive November, they prefer it. In milder regions, you'll see green vines stretching within weeks. In colder zones, they'll germinate slowly, settle in, and then burst with life as the days lengthen again. Either way, the roots continue strengthening the soil, weaving invisible networks that improve texture, drainage, and fertility. Here's a small but valuable trick. Plant spinach directly beneath or around your peas. The peas will rise and climb, while the spinach stays low, blanketing the soil, keeping it moist and weed-free. It's an elegant partnership that saves space, conserves energy, and gives you both greens and nitrogen-rich cover for spring planting. And perhaps the most rewarding part, seeing those slender green tendrils curling up a trellis in the chill of late fall. There's something deeply reassuring about it, especially for those of us who've learned that growth doesn't always happen fast or even visibly. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's happening in roots, in soil, or in the steady hands that keep sowing year after year. Winter peas remind us that the garden, like us, never truly stops growing, it just finds new ways to begin again. Crop 2. Spinach and leafy greens. Spinach and other cold-loving greens are the quiet heroes of the late-season garden. While most plants retreat when the temperature drops, spinach digs in, grows stronger, and rewards you with tender leaves packed with flavor and nutrition. There's a reason experienced gardeners never skip it. In November it thrives where others fail. The cool air deepens its color, slows its growth just enough to concentrate flavor, and makes every harvest more rewarding. For older gardeners, spinach offers the perfect balance of effort and payoff. The seeds germinate easily, the plants don't need coddling, and the harvest is gentle on the body. You can sow them directly into the soil of a raised bed or wide container, about half an inch deep, and then let the weather do the rest. Spinach doesn't demand much steady moisture, loose soil, and a little sunlight even on short days. A simple drip line or lightweight watering can is enough to keep it healthy without strain. Think about your comfort as much as your crop. Using an ergonomic hand cultivator with a soft grip will protect your wrists, and a sturdy garden seat will keep pressure off your knees. Spinach is a forgiving plant, so you can take your time, there's no rush. Once the leaves begin to spread, harvest from the outer edge, and leave the inner ones to keep producing. A few minutes of picking each week keeps your plants healthy and your kitchen stocked with fresh greens. If you like variety, pair spinach with kale, mustard greens, or even tatsui for color and texture contrast. The mild, sweet flavor of spinach balances beautifully with the spice of mustard and the earthy tones of kale. Together, they create not just a meal but a palette of taste and nourishment, something that reflects the richness of your own garden experience. Here's something remarkable about spinach that many gardeners never consider. Cold makes it sweeter. When temperatures drop, the plant reacts by converting stored starch into sugar, protecting itself from freezing. That's why late-season spinach often tastes richer and less bitter than its summer counterpart. It's nature's quiet chemistry lesson, a reminder that struggle often creates sweetness. Spinach teaches a lesson every senior gardener understands deeply, that slowing down doesn't mean stopping. Under the frost, it keeps building strength quietly, leaf by leaf. And in that patience, in that calm resilience, it mirrors the best part of aging gracefully, the ability to keep growing with less rush and more purpose, no matter the season. Crop 3. Carrots. Cold season sweetness. Carrots are one of those crops that reward patience, a true lesson in quiet endurance. When most gardens are settling into rest, carrots are just getting comfortable. They don't fear the cold, they use it. As temperatures drop, something remarkable happens beneath the soil. The plant begins converting starch into sugar, a natural defense against freezing. That transformation gives you roots that are sweeter, crisper, and far more flavorful than anything pulled in summer. It's not just gardening, it's chemistry written in the earth. For older gardeners, carrots are ideal because they ask for very little and give back generously. The key is soil loose, deep, and well drained. Raised beds are your best ally here. They keep the soil workable even in cooler months and reduce the need for bending or kneeling. Use a short-handled planter or a simple seeding tube to drop your seeds at about 1/4 inch deep. Scatter them lightly, then brush soil over with the back of your hand instead of pressing down. Carrot seeds prefer contact, not compression. Once sown, let nature set the pace. The seeds will take longer to germinate in cool soil, sometimes 2 to 3 weeks, but don't rush them. During that time, keep the top layer slightly moist. A light covering of straw or shredded leaves helps hold warmth and prevent crusting. As they grow, thin them carefully by snipping weaker seedlings at the base rather than pulling them, which disturbs the roots you want to keep. For both beauty and practicality, sow dill or chamomile nearby. These companion herbs attract beneficial insects, discourage pests, and fill the garden with a calm, herbal scent that turns even a cold afternoon's work into something restorative. The scent of dill in cool air is grounding, clean, nostalgic, and distinctly alive. When harvest time comes, don't be in a hurry. Let a light frost kiss the tops before pulling. That chill intensifies the sweetness and gives each carrot a crisp, fresh bite that store-bought ones can't match. And if your hands aren't as strong as they used to be, use a hand fork or small spade to gently loosen the soil before lifting. There's something deeply satisfying about pulling a bright orange root from cold, dark soil. The contrast of color and temperature, the weight of it in your hand. Each one feels earned. Every carrot you lift in winter carries a message. Resilience isn't about pushing harder, it's about waiting with intention. Like the soil that rests yet renews itself. Your garden and your own body continues to adapt, grow, and sweeten with time. Quick pause, gardener. Take a moment to look around your tools, your soil, those small signs of life still pushing through. Every one of them is proof that the season isn't over. Not yet. If what you've heard so far has you thinking about trying something new this November, go ahead and tap that like button. It tells me you're ready to keep growing, and it helps this message reach other gardeners who might need the same encouragement. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Golden Garden Days and turn on notifications. Every week, we share calm, practical garden wisdom made for those of us who value experience over speed, who understand that tending the soil is also tending ourselves. Now, I want to hear from you. What are you planting this month? Spinach pushing through the frost? Maybe a few early garlic cloves? Drop your answer in the comments, and let's keep each other motivated. Your idea might be the one that sparks someone else's next planting. Last winter, I planted just 3 spinach seeds, expecting nothing. By February, they were standing strong, small, green, and alive when everything else slept. That's the beauty of late-season gardening. The quiet surprises that remind us how persistence pays off. And speaking of persistence, stay with me, because up next we're moving into one of the most rewarding winter crops of all. It's simple to plant, thrives in cold soil, and delivers a harvest that's as practical as it is delicious. If you've ever doubted that November can still grow abundance, the next segment will change your mind. Crop 4. Garlic and shallots. Garlic is the definition of slow reward, a crop that teaches patience as much as it gives flavor. Planting it in November might seem late to some, but that's the beauty of it. Garlic prefers the cool, still air of fall. The chill helps it form strong roots before winter sets in, and when spring arrives, it's already prepared to surge upward with steady, determined growth. You plant it when the days are short and quiet, knowing you won't see results for months. It's an act of faith, the kind every gardener understands. For seasoned gardeners, especially those who've learned to balance care with comfort, garlic is a perfect November task. It requires no rush, no strain, no heavy digging. Use a long-handled trowel or a planting dibber so you can stay upright and avoid pressure on your knees or back. Each clove should be planted about 2 inches deep and spaced 6 inches apart, pointed end up in loose, well-drained soil. If you're working in raised beds or planters, that's even better. The soil stays warmer and drains more evenly, reducing the risk of rot. As you plant, take a moment to mark your rows with bright stakes or garden tags. November light fades fast, and garlic hides easily under mulch. The markers help you remember where new life is quietly taking root. When the cloves are in, cover the bed with a light layer of straw or shredded leaves. That blanket keeps the soil insulated, holds moisture, and lets nature do the rest. Here's a small but powerful tip. After planting, sprinkle a handful of wood ash over the soil. It's rich in potassium and trace minerals that strengthen root development. It also helps balance acidity and adds nutrients without any chemical input. By spring, that single handful pays off with strong, healthy shoots, a small investment that saves hours of maintenance later. What makes garlic so rewarding isn't just its flavor or resilience. It's the quiet meaning behind it. You plant it when the ground seems still, and months later it greets you with green shoots, proof that life was always working below the surface. Shallots, its close companion, follow the same rhythm: steady, humble, and endlessly reliable. When you plant garlic in November, you're not just tending a crop. You're making a promise to your future self that patience still matters, that slow growth still has value, and that what you nurture today will return to you when the sun is warm again. Crop 5. Kale and collards. Kale and collards are the backbone of the winter garden, strong, steady, and resilient, even when frost paints the soil silver. They're not delicate plants that demand attention. They're the kind that quietly hold their ground, waiting for you to notice their strength. For seasoned gardeners, that dependability makes them priceless. When much of the garden fades, kale and collards remain, offering nourishment for both body and spirit. What sets them apart is how they grow tougher as the air turns colder. Instead of wilting, their leaves become firmer, their flavor deepens, and their color darkens into rich greens and purples. The first light frost doesn't harm them, it improves them. The cold triggers natural sugars to rise to the surface, softening any bitterness. A well-timed November sowing means you'll have greens that not only endure the season, but thrive in it. If you want to make these crops work for your comfort, choose compact or dwarf varieties. They fit beautifully into raised beds or waist-height planters where everything stays within easy reach. This setup keeps you upright, stable, and pain-free, allowing you to enjoy the garden without bending or twisting. Plant seeds about ½ inch deep and keep the soil evenly moist. Kale and collards are hardy enough to germinate in cool temperatures, so you can plant now and forget the fuss. To bring more life and balance to your space, tuck in some flowering herbs like thyme, oregano, or calendula between your rows. They don't just add color and fragrance, they attract pollinators that will return in spring when your garden wakes up again. The contrast of broad, structured kale leaves against soft, flowering herbs gives your garden a quiet beauty that lasts all winter. Beyond their toughness, these greens carry a lesson that resonates deeply with older gardeners. Strength isn't about resisting the cold, but adapting to it. Like us, they grow thicker skin with time, yet their core remains vibrant and alive. Eating them returns that vitality to you, rich in vitamins A, C, and K, and gentle on digestion. Wellness note: gardening with sturdy greens like kale and collards is a simple way to keep your body moving. The small actions, reaching, cutting, watering, strengthen balance and flexibility without strain. The rhythm of tending these plants connects motion with purpose, giving you a quiet, daily exercise that feeds both body and mind. Every leaf harvested is a reminder that steadiness, not speed, is what sustains growth. Crop 6. Mustard and Asian greens. Mustard greens and Asian greens are the antidote to winter's gray, fast, colorful, and bursting with life when most gardens have gone quiet. They thrive in the cool air of November, sending up tender leaves that grow faster than you'd expect. Where kale and collards represent strength, mustard greens bring energy and brightness. Their peppery, complex flavor wakes up the palate, while their quick growth rewards even the most patient gardener with visible progress in just a few weeks. For those gardening later in life, these greens offer a practical joy. They're lightweight, compact, and perfectly suited for raised planters or large containers. You can place them close to the house, on a porch, or even by a sunny kitchen window, where tending them is easy and satisfying. The seeds are small but forgiving. Scatter them lightly over loose, moist soil and cover with less than ½ inch of compost or potting mix. Keep the surface damp, and you'll see sprouting in under 10 days, even in cool conditions. Asian greens like mizuna, tatsoi, and pak choi add texture and variety, growing in graceful rosettes or crisp stems that are as beautiful as they are nutritious. They require almost no maintenance, a bit of watering, occasional thinning, and they're ready to pick. The best part is that they're cut-and-come-again crops. Snip the outer leaves, and new ones will quickly take their place. This cycle of renewal keeps your garden productive throughout the cold months, and your meals fresh with minimal effort. For an easy combination that brings both beauty and balance, sow mustard greens alongside spinach. The mustard's vivid greens and purples contrast against spinach's deep, velvety leaves, creating a living tapestry that brightens your garden visually while enhancing your meals with layered flavors: earthy, mild, and slightly spicy. It's an ideal blend for salads, sautés, or simply a splash of color beside heartier dishes. Mustard and Asian greens are more than quick crops, they're mood lifters. When the days grow short and quiet, the act of walking outside to harvest a handful of vibrant leaves restores a sense of motion and purpose. The scent, the color, the taste, all small reminders that life continues to thrive even in the stillness of winter. For the seasoned gardener, these greens offer both nourishment and reassurance, proof that growth doesn't always need time, only willingness. Crop 7. Spring onions. Spring onions are the perfect bridge between seasons, a crop that delivers freshness, fragrance, and satisfaction with minimal effort. For gardeners looking to keep their routine light yet meaningful, these slender greens are the definition of simplicity. They grow quickly, ask for almost no space, and reward you with crisp shoots that can be harvested continuously for weeks. When most vegetables need time, tools, and planning, spring onions just need a small patch of soil and a bit of care. Their short growing cycle makes them ideal for November sowing, even in cooler regions. The seeds germinate easily in temperatures that would stall other crops, and their roots hold strong against brief frosts. You can plant them directly into raised beds, balcony boxes, or deep containers anywhere that lets you stay upright and comfortable while working. They don't need much soil depth, just 6 to 8 inches, which means you can grow them even if your space or mobility is limited. Scatter the seeds in thin rows or small clusters, then cover lightly with fine soil. Water gently but consistently, keeping the soil moist without soaking it. Within a couple of weeks, you'll see fine green shoots pushing through a small but unmistakable sign that your garden is still alive and responsive. The beauty of spring onions is that they're forgiving. You can start harvesting early, snipping a few stalks at a time, or let them mature for fuller bulbs later in winter. Tool tip: if bending or kneeling feels uncomfortable, this is where smart equipment makes all the difference. Use telescopic tools with cushioned grips or a stand-up planter that brings the soil to your height. These allow you to tend and harvest your onions easily without straining your back or knees. Gardening should feel natural, not like a workout, and small adjustments like these keep it enjoyable for years to come. For convenience, plant spring onions near your kitchen door or along a patio edge. Their fragrance greets you in the cool morning air, sharp and fresh, and they're always within reach when you need a quick handful for soups, omelets, or salads. That accessibility turns your garden into a living pantry, one that connects your effort directly to your daily meals. Spring onions remind us that not every reward needs time or struggle. Sometimes the simplest crops, quick to grow, easy to reach, effortless to maintain, are the ones that keep us most connected to the joy of gardening itself. Cilantro, or coriander as some gardeners still call it, is one of those plants that offers more than just a harvest. It offers atmosphere. The moment its leaves brush against your hand, the air fills with a scent that's clean, citrusy, and unmistakably alive. For many, that aroma carries memories. Family meals, fresh garnishes, the smell of a kitchen alive with herbs. But beyond nostalgia, cilantro is one of the most useful crops you can sow in November. It thrives in the cool temperatures that tire out most herbs, and it asks for almost nothing in return. For senior gardeners, cilantro is a perfect, low-effort, high-reward plant. Its roots are shallow, its needs are simple, and its speed is impressive. Once sown, you can expect the first harvest in as little as 3 to 4 weeks. It grows best in cool, indirect sunlight, making it ideal for raised beds, containers, or planters set near a porch or window where it's easy to reach. The key is to give it space to breathe. Cilantro likes air circulation and a bit of room to stretch. To plant, scatter seeds about 1 inch apart in loose, moist soil, covering them lightly. Water gently, allowing the soil to stay damp but never soggy. The seeds are actually tiny husks that can be split before sowing to encourage faster sprouting, an old gardener's trick worth trying. Once the plants reach 4 inches, you can begin snipping leaves for fresh use, always cutting from the outer edges to keep growth steady. Here's a simple enhancement that turns this useful herb into a sensory retreat. Pair cilantro with mint in a waist-high container. Together, they create a living aroma that changes with the breeze mint's coolness, balancing cilantro's bright, citrusy sharpness. This combination doesn't just smell good, it helps calm the mind and reduce stress. Gardening at this scale, within easy reach and filled with scent, becomes a form of light therapy, especially on gray days when the garden feels still. Cilantro doesn't last long once the heat returns, but that brevity is part of its charm. It reminds us that not everything lasting is slow. Some joys are quick, bright, and fleeting. Each time you brush past it or cut a few leaves, it gives back something intangible, a moment of connection. The fragrance lingers on your hands, carrying with it the comfort of shared meals, laughter, and the rhythm of life's simple routines. In a garden that's preparing for rest, cilantro is a reminder that some things bloom best in the quiet season. Crop 9. Radishes and turnips. Radishes and turnips are the gardener's reminder that some of life's best rewards come quickly. In a world that often demands patience, these root crops deliver results in weeks, not months, the perfect antidote to the slow pace of winter. For senior gardeners, they bring instant satisfaction. You can sow them today and see crisp green shoots within a week, firm bulbs forming soon after. Their speed, simplicity, and cheerfulness make them ideal for keeping your gardening rhythm alive even when the days are short and cool. Radishes thrive in the cool soil of November, and their flavor actually improves in lower temperatures, crisp, peppery, with just enough bite to wake up your taste buds. Turnips, on the other hand, offer both tender roots and edible greens that are rich in nutrients. Together, they create a small but complete harvest. Roots for roasting or salads, and leaves for cooking or juicing. You don't need a large garden to grow them. In fact, they fit beautifully along the edges of existing beds, raised planters, or even wide containers. They fill the gaps where other crops are resting, making every inch of your garden productive. To plant, prepare light, loose soil and scatter seeds about an inch apart. Cover them lightly and water gently, no deep digging or heavy work required. Their shallow roots mean they're easy on your hands and back. In a week or so, you'll see rows of tiny greens breaking through the surface. A simple but deeply satisfying sight. Once they mature, pull a few at a time rather than harvesting all at once, so your garden keeps offering little surprises. Here's a useful strategy. Sow radishes or turnips alongside peas. The radishes mature early, often within 25 to 30 days, leaving the soil loosened and ready for the peas to take over. It's a natural relay, one crop preparing the way for the next, saving time and space while improving soil structure. This method keeps your garden active and dynamic without adding more effort. Harvesting radishes and turnips carries its own kind of joy. There's something grounding about reaching into the soil, feeling the firmness of the root, and pulling it free. Each one is a small, tangible success proof that even in late autumn, your work still brings life from the ground. For older gardeners, that moment of discovery means more than the crop itself. It's a reminder that new beginnings aren't bound by age or season. Every seed planted and pulled is a gesture of optimism, proof that growth continues as long as you're willing to reach for it. Crop 10. Cover crops, soil's secret strength. Cover crops are the unsung heroes of the garden, quiet, steady, and deeply restorative. While most plants demand attention, these do their best work when left alone. They don't grow for show or harvest, they grow for the future. And that makes them one of the most meaningful crops you can plant in November. When the visible part of your garden winds down, cover crops keep life moving below the surface, rebuilding what the season has taken, and preparing your soil for stronger growth in spring. Think of them as the garden's version of rest, with purpose. Clover, winter rye, and legume mixes like hairy vetch or field peas send roots deep into the ground, loosening compacted soil, drawing up nutrients, and holding moisture in place. As they grow, they protect the earth from erosion and feed beneficial organisms that will nourish your next crop. By late winter or early spring, these plants can be turned under or trimmed down to become living compost, a natural fertilizer that costs nothing and restores everything. For older gardeners, cover crops are an act of wisdom, not work. They don't require lifting, bending, or daily attention. Simply broadcast the seed over any bare bed, rake lightly, and water once. After that, the plants do the rest. Raised beds, containers, and even small garden patches benefit from this treatment. The sight of a green blanket covering your soil in January brings quiet satisfaction, a reminder that even stillness has a purpose. If your climate is mild, choose crimson clover or winter rye for steady coverage. In colder regions, go with hardy legumes that fix nitrogen and survive the freeze. You can even mix varieties for layered benefits. Clover to feed the soil, rye to stabilize it, and vetch to suppress weeds. Each has a role, just as each season does. When my arthritis first flared, I thought my gardening days were numbered. I couldn't kneel for long, couldn't turn soil the way I used to. Then I learned about cover crops, plants that work while I rest. That discovery changed how I saw my garden and myself. I realized the soil doesn't always need my strength, just my intention. Even when I step back, life continues to grow. Cover crops are more than a technique. They're a philosophy, one that reflects aging with grace. You're not pushing harder. You're tending smarter. You're giving your soil and yourself the space to renew. In a season defined by stillness, they remind us that restoration is its own form of growth. Here's the truth that even experienced gardeners rarely talk about. Lasting success in the garden isn't only about soil, seeds, or weather. It's about your body. As the seasons change, so do we. The real secret to gardening well after 60 isn't what you plant, it's how you plant. It's learning to garden in a way that honors your strength, protects your joints, and allows you to keep doing what you love for as many years as you choose. Too many gardeners stop because of discomfort, not disinterest. A stiff back, sore knees, or shaky balance can quietly chip away at the joy of tending the soil. But that doesn't have to be the story. The key is adopting an ergonomic mindset, one that makes your garden work with your body instead of against it. Small changes can transform your experience entirely. Raised planters bring the soil to you, keeping everything within reach. Rolling garden stools give you freedom to move without strain. Soft grip tools reduce tension in the wrists, and long-handled cultivators eliminate the need to bend or kneel for every task. Think of it as redesigning your garden to fit the gardener you are today. You've earned the right to work smarter. The soil doesn't care how high the bed is or what tools you use. It only cares that it's tended with consistency. For those with limited mobility, vertical gardens or wall-mounted planters are another powerful option. They save space and allow you to garden from a seated position, turning even a small patio into a thriving green space. Comfort isn't a luxury. It's what keeps the connection alive. When you remove physical barriers, you rediscover the part of gardening that drew you in to begin with. The quiet rhythm, the scent of soil, the satisfaction of watching something grow under your care. That freedom to stay active without pain isn't just good for the body, it's essential for the mind. The goal isn't to push harder or prove endurance. It's to keep gardening longer, steadily, safely, and with the same sense of joy you had decades ago. Because when your tools, your posture, and your environment are all in balance, your garden doesn't just grow better, you do too. 10 crops that defy November's chill, each proving that the rhythm of life doesn't stop just because the air grows cold. From the sweetness of frost-kissed carrots to the strength of kale and the quiet persistence of garlic under the soil, every plant in your winter garden is a reflection of resilience. They remind us that slowing down isn't the same as stopping, it's simply another form of growth. Each of these crops carries its own message. Spinach and mustard greens bring quick, bright rewards. Cover crops teach patience and foresight. Cilantro offers fragrance and memory. Together, they create a living landscape of color and calm in a season often mistaken for stillness. Gardening in November isn't about fighting winter, it's about moving with it, working in rhythm with the soil rather than against it. Start small. A single raised bed, a few containers by the kitchen door, or even one crop you've never tried before. Consistency will do the rest. Gentle movements, careful planting, a short walk outside to water, these are the things that build not just a garden, but a sense of continuity and peace. The work itself becomes the reward, steady, grounding, and deeply human. As winter deepens, your garden can become a kind of quiet companion. The soft sound of watering, the sight of green leaves against gray skies, the feel of cool soil in your hands. These moments return a sense of purpose that no season can take away. In tending the garden, you tend yourself. If this guide brought warmth to your day, or reminded you that every season holds something worth growing, take a moment to like this video, Share it with another gardener who might need encouragement. And subscribe to Golden Garden Days for more calm, practical inspiration. We post each week with new ways to keep your garden and your spirit thriving year-round. And before you go, tell me in the comments, which of these 10 crops are you most excited to try this November? I read every reply, and your experiences help shape what we share next. Until next time, keep your hands in the soil, your heart in the garden, and your days golden.